So they're all from the book, but you still want to buy the book, even though you can get a lot on the website. Let's give a huge round of applause for James Schlett. This is going to be nice.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Carol, for doing this for so many years. This has been a great event. And thank you all for coming. Hi, Rory. So as Carol mentioned, this is my first book of poetry. I spent 7 years working on this. It covers my daughter's first 7 years. It's got 88 haiku in it. About half of them have been published in journals, and one or two got recognized. And also throughout the book, there's these passages that come from an essay that a friend of mine, who's the editor of a journal called Bottle Rockets, a haiku journal out of Connecticut. He had asked me around the time my daughter was born to write an essay kind of connecting haiku and transcendentalism, because my first historical narrative was Not Too Greatly Changed Eden that dealt with Emerson in it. And so I wrote that essay around the same time, and it was part manifesto and part kind of a father's advice to his daughter. I've told her that she has to read this when she's 30. And so tonight I'm going to read just some haiku from the book, and other ones that are not in the book. I'm going to read a couple passages from this essay that was titled Constellations, A Life in Haiku. And I'll just give you a couple of crash course on haiku, English language haiku. The messages we most need to see or hear come to us in the most unconventional ways. A burning bush, a star on a cloudy night, words tattooed to the wrists of a woman. The truths that we most need to the truths that are most apparent are the ones that must stray farthest from what we are most accustomed to seeing. And the miracle is not that the truths are revealed, but that we notice them, we accept them, and understand them. Planetarium, my world, sits on my lap. This is life. My daughter hands me an acorn. Orchard. The toddler holds the word she knows. Independence Day. Far away, children become glow sticks. Right, so a lot of people are taught haiku when in middle school. And for today, just forget everything they taught you in middle school, because it's pretty much wrong. Yes, you got the 5, 7, 5 syllables, and which it doesn't, like, in 3 lines. And for the most part, like the syllables part is that we're talking like apples and oranges. Like Japanese and English are 2 very different languages. Japanese is it's pitch accent. You could, and whereas English is stress accent. You could change the meaning of a word by where you stress on the syllable. Whereas in Japanese, the words, you change the meaning of the word. They don't do the stress. You change the meaning by changing the pitch of your voice. And so they're a little bit more nimble when it comes to syllable counts, which is why they're a little bit more of the 5, 7, 5. In English language haiku, actually, it's the shorter it is, even the better. And there are two kind of staple elements to haiku. One is the kaigo, which is the seasonal word. This is like something that connects it to nature. This is like, cherry blossoms, migrating geese, flowers blooming. And the other one is the kier, which is what they call the twist or the surprise. So usually like between the second and third lines, there's like this twist to the poem that gives you something you didn't see coming. In this, so moments slip into memory not when we are looking for unforgettable times, but when we are living them. When we look long and hard for that which we desire, we often find it the moment we become distracted. Life is the lapse in our search for it. Kneeling in my suit, crocus. September, flying by, monarch shadows. Never getting old, rocks we toss in the river. The life of bees, we find the best scent in the candle store. So I started writing haiku about 13 years ago, and before that, haiku was like a joke, literally. If you came to readings before then, you might remember I had something called the Jersey Haiku, which was these short, nonsensical, and completely politically incorrect poems. And then I wrote my first haiku on March 6, 2010, to be exact. And this was the first one. It went, rock garden, snow and snowdrops blooming, inevitable spring. It is good that moments come to us. It is good that our memories come to us in moments, because if we could recall in all entirety our past, then we would want nothing of it. Only in the human heart could a handful of moments equate a lifetime. The little girl cups darkness, flash of a firefly. Her smile stays up longer than she does. First ice skates. Evening garden. I did not ask for this. Hummingbird. And this is the title poem for the book. Withered field. Children in bubbles. Bring it back to life. Now, writing haiku has been very freeing for me. It's I found since I started writing this way, I feel so much more at peace, a lot less anxiety, and part of the reasoning for that I always say is because we're just trying to describe a moment. We're not trying to tell a narrative. You're not trying to bend reality to the way you think your story should be. You're just accepting and writing about what is. The vagueness that wraps every beginning protects it from the wrath of certainty that would seize and smother such a tender opportunity. Uncertainty invites the faith that nurtures the growth of possibility. Drawing back my hood, spring rain. Sitting with a friend, for forget-me-nots inch closer to her plot. Never knowing which path she'll follow, sledding. Red-winged blackbirds on the footbridge, the sound of me holding her. Now, the one thing about the kaigo, which is the seasonal word in haiku, is it connects it to nature, and that is one thing that I always say that contributes to the poem, to haiku having this sense of balance, this heightened awareness, and a harmony that's kind of implicit to it. So long as there is beauty, we will not feel forsaken for too long, because in the beautiful, there is no separation. Everything belongs. Just as every earthly feature has its place in the landscape, so are we accepted in our perception of it and every other beautiful vision. To live in beauty is to know God's love. Vermont backroads. The girl stops asking how long and just looks. Turning a short walk into a long one. Magnolias. November woods. The color of the last leaves is silence. Autumn dusk. Gold wells behind mountains. Inside me. I've always striven to write poetry in such a way that what I feel blends into a landscape, as though it is impossible to tell where my life ends and the world begins. I write as though I'm trying to vanish in God. It's what Buddhism calls the formless self, and what Christianity calls revelation. Spring winds, spring wind, all around me, all I am. Take me with you, magnolia, petals. Harvest festival, all the hay and mud she wears home. Still floating after the day together, petals on the pond. In haiku and in life in general, you say more by saying less. You can write more vividly with just 7 words than most people do with 7 pages. You leave room for the imagination. You trust your audience. And the haiku reveals more than you know, than you ever knew at the time. There's a mystery in us that is kept not by guarding the truths in our lives, but by disclosing them. As the human heart is more mysterious known than not. The mystics are those who keep a secret by revealing it. Autumn night, the growing pile of incense ash. The far cherry, no one visits, just me. What we don't plan for, the yellow flower amid the blues. Tinkle of snowflakes, a translation for evergreens. The heart wants to be heard. And if it is at a loss to express what lies within it, then it will drive us to find something that does. Try to trust that the heart knows what it's looking for, but not that it knows when or where it can be found. So set we are in our ways, so imprisoned. Stumble outside of your routine, and you might just rediscover the world. Saying more than what I feel, raindrops on the lake. Bird sanctuary, all that time spent looking for silence. February thaw. The meadow makes promises it cannot keep. Almost spring. The trail's thawing earth gives. Always, often unconsciously, we believe that the more passionate we are and the more intensely life burns within us, the brighter it shines. As though the heart is a beacon intended to guide someone far off through the darkness and closer to us. The hope of being seen fuels this flame, making it burn hotter and hotter until it inevitably consumes itself. Every heartbeat seems to cry out, "Over here. Beside you, I stand taller." Ironweed. Autumn crickets, in soft unison, our bedside prayer. Now, a recurring theme in my book is that moments guide us. Moments lead us to beyond where we feel we belong, to where we were reluctant to look. Every haiku we write is like a star in the sky, in the night sky. Our heaven is a collection of these stars, and some can be strung together to form a constellation that tells a story, the story of the self. Each moment leads us closer to whom we're meant to be. This collection of moments expressed in haiku, this constellation of stars, this is providence. The theologian Paul Tillich noted that providence is not a divine plan in which we have no say. It is not a predetermined future. Rather, is not a predetermined future. That would turn God into a tyrant who has robbed us of the freedom with which He bestowed upon us. Rather, Tillich said, providence means that there's a creative and saving possibility implied in every situation, which we cannot be destroyed by any new event. We do not know when these moments will come or where they will lead us, but they demand of us a faith to wait for them, to look for them, to accept them, to follow them. It's a choice, one we can make with creativity and courage, or with conformity and anxiety. Tillich said, "The infinite significance of every moment in time is this. In it, we decide, and are decided about, with respect to our eternal future." Yes, we decide, in 3 lines. Thank you so much for listening. Copies are on sale for $10 each. Usually the cover price is $20. My daughter illustrated some of the poems. She gets 20% royalties. So you'll also be paying towards, McDonald's and markers and whatever else an 8-year-old wants. Thank you again. Thank you, Carol.